Hello there! It has been a little bit since we've been here on this series, but have I got an exciting thing for you guys. So, here we are in the city of Lethio. This is a city, if you don't know, I've been building on stream for just over a year now, kind of approaching a year and a half, and I am just about done with this project. We are very close to having this city done. I'm so excited to get it fully complete. And once we do that, we'll be starting a brand new city from the ground up, both here on this YouTube series and also on our stream simultaneously. Each side seeing a little bit of what the other side sees in the grand scheme, but not every detail. What I do on stream won't be here on YouTube, and what I do here on YouTube won't be on stream, even though it'll be towards the same project. I don't know if that makes sense, but if it doesn't, don't worry, just roll with it. It'll make sense when it happens. Anyway, why are we here today and now, and what do I have that's so exciting? Well, as of recently, here on this series, I've tried a number of different things, a number of different possible ways to roll with the series and get it consistent and do something that I enjoy recording and putting out, and keeps me motivated to keep working on it, but also is enjoyable for you guys to watch and also works alongside the stream. There's a lot of things we're trying to balance here. I do spend a lot of time streaming. It is my favorite thing to do, is stream and interact with you guys live as I'm building, as I'm working on the world, and having all kinds of fun over there, right? But we need to get this series going because I think we can do a lot of really cool things here on YouTube with this series. So what are we doing today? Well, I'm glad you asked. We are going to pay a visit to an old friend of ours. And that friend is the very first city that I ever built in this world more than 7 years ago. Back in 2015, if you don't know, I began this project, which entails writing an entire fictional universe and a series of novels that I hope to publish someday for all of you guys to read. And while I work on the writing portion of this project and the storytelling and world building and everything in between, I also, as a side project, have this Minecraft world. And in this Minecraft world, I am bringing that universe, that story, everything within it to life via building here with you guys, whether that's on stream or in this YouTube series. That is the premise of this world. That's the premise of what we're doing. And as a result of that, there are a lot of builds in this world that I haven't built or added onto or really taken a second look at in quite some time. And I think the number one example of that is the city of Goldcrest, the very first place I built in this world. It has a specific feel to it that feels kind of nice and cozy, but it's definitely dated in terms of my ability as a builder, and also the accuracy to the lore and to the story and what we're trying to recreate. The accuracy of the builds has definitely improved since I built Goldcrest, and even the desert city of Shium and some of the other things that we had built a long time ago in this world, especially since we put this world into a custom generated world save and have it looking a million times more accurate. That is one thing that we have to work on as well. It's not just renovating some of the builds that I think I could improve, but it is also improving the accuracy to the canon. So, without further ado, I'll stop standing here on top of this rooftop explaining everything, and we'll get jumping into it. Fair warning ahead of time. The next few clips I did record while very sleepy, having just woke up. So, energize me. We'll return later. Don't worry. It'll be back, all right? I promise. Hello, my old friend Goldcrest. If you don't know, this is where everything started in the world. Just about 7 years ago now, it was that I built this place, the very first place that was seen in this world, the very first piece of the puzzle, if you will. And I don't know if you can tell, don't know if it's too painfully obvious. I've definitely learned how to do some more in terms of building since then. These are not the worst looking thing by any means, and you can kind of definitely get the feel, regardless of the quality of the builds themselves, you get the feel that it's a very naturey sort of setting and a very relaxed kind of quiet environment for the most part. but we could just do a little bit better. This is something that's been on my mind for quite some time now. Just taking this place and bringing it to the next level, just evolving it a little further, making it a little more presentable, and something that I think I can look back on a little more fondly even from what I do now. Now, I don't plan on redoing the entire place out here. I'm not going to tear down all the buildings and start from scratch or anything like that, because I do want to keep a little bit of an element of, you know, this is where it started, this is how it kind of looked, you know, it might not be perfect, but it's a good kind of homage to the beginnings of this world and all of that good stuff, right? So one of the things that I am planning on doing out here is taking every single one of these trees and redoing all of these. I don't know if you've caught on by now, but there is not a single proper custom tree around here other than in the temple over there, where I've got a funky little custom tree, one of the first that I had ever built. But back during the time that I built Goldcrest out here, custom trees were something that I had little to no experience or knowledge in completing and building and all of that good stuff. So what I did was I just grew some tall oak trees everywhere, and I added a couple more leaves to them to make it look like they kind of hang down just a little bit in some spots, and then I called it good. That was kind of my version of creating this collection of trees. I don't know that we would particularly call it a proper forest here, but either way, the trees have got to go and they've got to get redone. That's something that I've wanted to do for quite some time, and I think just the trees alone, they're going to make a huge difference here in the city of Goldcrest. And really take the area that we began this world in and bring it to the next level. Modernize it, if you will, in terms of the building ability and what you can expect out of it. And all of those good details, right? But it's more than just the trees. I've brought a collection of goodies here that we are going to use to do all kinds of good stuff. I've got some leaves. I've got some of this stuff right here. I've got some more of that stuff. I've got some of the path blocks. Might mix in some more blocks within the pathway. I might redo a lot of the roads here and get some more details in there. We've got some of the house materials because we may be building one or two more. We'll have to see. And then some more stuff for the trees. So here's the thing with the seeds and with the potatoes and everything. One thing that I failed to complete when I was first building out here, it was something that kind of slipped my mind and I never really focused on, is a proper kind of agriculture section of this city. Goldcrest, within the lore, within the Tales of Annocia, is a very good place for exporting things like wheat and potatoes that they grow on the outskirts of the city. But as you can see, there are no outskirts of the city. I never actually built the outskirts. I built this little inner city section, and I built a bunch of the kind of surrounding buildings and neighborhoods and shops and what have you, right? There's not too much to it. It's got the fewest buildings of any place I've built in the world, but we're gonna expand on that just a little bit more by having some fields out in the distance with a couple farmhouses perhaps here and there, and we're gonna start to fill in a lot of this open area. We'll kind of spread the trees into that region as well. We'll kind of slowly have them fade into the forest that sits around the city and try to blend it all together nice and proper. That's one of my goals as well. Obviously fixing all of the trees here and then properly building the outskirts. I think both of those things combined, they're going to make a huge difference, and they're going to bring this place to the next level, hopefully. And well, what better way to get started than to just jump right into it. My friends, it's chopping time. You know, it's during times like these where you really go back and you start to really look through stuff that you start to catch instances like this. I had no idea that in the little ravine town that I had made years and years and years ago right here, of the inner city here in Goldcrest, that the back of it just comes right on out to the open on this side, and it's perfectly exposed back here. Guess I'm gonna have to go grab some dirt and fill this in, as I don't really care about having the cave here per se. Good excuse to start really going through all of those little hidden areas in your builds and your places, and you might not know just what you'll find, but might be worth it to find it and just clean it up a little. And done. Alright then, that is all of the trees gone, and wow, what an absolutely jarring difference that makes in more ways than just one. It's not just the trees suddenly missing from the town of Goldcrest here, but there's a number of things, and you might be picking up on them already. For one, the trees really made this place feel a lot bigger than it really is. When I zoom out right here and I get every single building in shot outside of the complete walls that are kind of down here and off to the side and everything, this place seems so tiny without all of the trees. Not only that, but there's snow everywhere. I've got to fix that. That was a product of going around and cutting all the trees down while it kept raining and snowing and everything. I know what biomes are broken that I gotta fix, that's for sure. And even when I open the map, you can see just how bad the snow is. You can see the transition from this weird savanna biome spot right here over to the snow biome area or mountain biome that allows snow to fall. Whatever the biome might be. I'm not too sure what's going on in this area, but I'm thinking what I might do to try and solve most of this, if not all of it, is take any of these mountain biomes and maybe turn them into a taiga biome that isn't snowy, because I believe the color of the grass will stay the same whether it's a mountain or a taiga. And then over here, I think I'm just going to get rid of all of the savanna biome, which is what most of the area around here is. I don't have the map rendered right now for you to properly see, but all this yellowish color, it's all savanna biome. When I generated this world, most of this was supposed to be savanna down here. And then when I reverted it, the biomes, of course, got a little messed up. So I'll probably go with something like plains or normal forest around this region, at least in the surrounding areas around the city and everything, and we'll have to see how I can try and attempt to blend it together with the surrounding biomes and make it all work properly. But outside of the snow and outside of the trees that we gotta redo, there's a couple other things as well. For one, if I jump up here and I take a look from right about here and I pause the game with the HUD off, you will notice something that begins to stick out pretty bad, and that is a result of taking this build from the original Minecraft seed that I generated this world in and started building it in, and surgically implanting it into a custom generated world, something I did a couple years back when I decided that the original Minecraft seed was not going to do it, as there was no cohesion whatsoever in terms of where builds were located in relation to another build and the continent as a whole. It was basically just building the cities themselves, and that was all I could do. I couldn't really properly connect them or have the provinces or anything like that within the lore that I do here with the custom generated world, of course. Now, when I surgically imported it with World Edit, I tried to do a hasty kind of work into the terrain that turned out better in some areas, like this corner, and not so good in other areas, like these abrupt cliff sides that, at the end of the day, they're just a straight line. Yeah, I gave them a couple layers. Yeah, they kind of come out a little bit and they got a little bit of detail on them. Not a lot, but I mean, that's just a straight line. So when you look at it from afar, without the cover of the trees to disguise it especially, you notice the straight line right there, the harsh corner. Over here, the same thing. Just harsh corner over there, bring it all the way back in like that. So there's a number of things we're going to have to do here. A little more than I anticipated at the very beginning when we came out here and kind of took a look at things. But among those things that I want to try and do is definitely fix these cliff sides, fix these signs of this kind of implant, I guess, the build being implanted into the custom terrain. Even right here was a little bit of a wonky situation that we had going on, and that's definitely something I gotta take care of. So add that to the list. We've got the custom trees, we've got the fancy blending of the terrain, old to new, we've got the biome fixes, and we've got pathways and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be here for a little bit. We got a lot of work to do, and with all of the stuff that we have to do, we've got to get cracking on some of this. So I think the first thing I'm going to get started with is I am going to bring World Edit back into this whole project, and I'm going to try and do a little bit of biome work in the city and in the surrounding areas to try and fix some of these discolorations and prevent any snow from falling anywhere around here in the future, as well as that's definitely not something that belongs down here. And with that, the biomes are taken care of surprisingly quick. Did not need to spend too much time on that. However, all I really did was take the scuffed bits and push them a little further back, as you can see with these lines right here, as I'm not very well versed in all of the technical side of these world editing mods and such. But if you guys know how to smoothly transition the biomes along these lines, or just replace biomes or edit biomes in a way that isn't just in squares, using World Edit from one corner to the other, and then just quickly editing it like that, but something that feels more natural, by all means, let me know. I have no idea what I would do to get natural-looking biome lines like these within the game, so that it's not just a straight line going across hundreds of blocks. Anyway, the snow's gone, taken care of. It shouldn't return. There's a little bit up here on the mountain. These mountains aren't intended to be snow-capped, but it shouldn't be a problem, as I don't think we'll ever be close enough for it to start really covering the mountain peaks or anything like that. So we should be all right. I turned most of it into a forest biome, just a regular forest biome, and some of the surrounding areas into just plains biomes, wherever it was snowy taiga within range. All of this over here, I think, is still a snowy taiga, which isn't perfect, and probably something I'll change eventually. But for now, I was just focused on the area around the city of Goldcrest, and now that you can see it in-game, when we go and we fly around and everything, starts to look a lot better. No more weird snow splotches, no more weird color variations and sudden jarring changes or anything like that. One thing I did notice in planning for the next phase of the build, which is to edit this corner right here, along with some of the other corners as well, is that in the original build of Goldcrest, I needed a wall over on that side of the city, as it kind of led out to a wide open area, and Goldcrest has a couple walls around it. However, when I brought it into the new world, it so happened that the wall wound up in this spot, where it is right next to the butt of a mountain, which doesn't make all that much sense comparatively to some of the other walls that we have around here. And none of the walls fully connect. That's also something that is a little wonky, but that is intentional, as they're not supposed to be the of the highest security or anything like that. They are just there to stop a bulk of issues, but maybe not every last thing. One thing I want to do though is I want to cut out a section of this wall, and I might just do this section right here, maybe from that tower on over. I'll keep that tower, get rid of all of that, and then that tower, so that when I do the mountain over here, especially if I look at the map, I can do, instead of a cliffside that looks all weird, if I have part of this cut out, I can just angle the terrain, kind of round it around this corner, and then have it properly build up into the mountain as it did before, and then we won't even need a cliffside or anything. It'll blend perfectly, especially with that wall, and no trees over here. I can just kind of work it in, trees come later, all that kind of stuff. I think that's going to be the next step, and then once I do that, we'll jump into whatever it is we decide to go with after that. many an hour later, I have officially completed that corner of the rebuild in terms of the terrain, at the very least. Check this out. I mean, you guys already saw it through the time lapse, but after a lot of dirt and a lot of bone meal and a lot of time spent, I have completely gotten rid of the old cliffside that was here and blended the side of the mountain down with the regular terrain that you see around the houses and in between the walls and all of that good stuff. So I think all in all, this is looking a million times better than what we had before, both in the actual game itself and of course on the map here as well. By the way, let me turn these birds down just a little bit. I use this ambient sound mod. Ambient Sounds for Minecraft is the name of the mod. Mostly for stream. It gives some nice immersion when we are streaming and building and all of that fun stuff over on Twitch. But here in the YouTube, turn it down just a smidge. The birds are nice, though. They're a nice background. I at least like them. Let me know if you don't. I can always turn it off for the YouTube videos as well, if that is something you guys would prefer. But regardless, back to the builds. I'm really happy with this. I went ahead and got rid of most of the poppies and dandelions from the bone meal spam as well. I just figured it looked a lot cleaner and it blended a lot better with the rest of the terrain, given that there's only the occasional dandelion or poppy kind of splotches and single bits here and there and what have you. Obviously, I have some other flowers that I had planted manually throughout the city of Goldcrest previously, and that might be something that I eventually work up the hillside a little bit. We'll see. I'm not too sure. I might focus on that when I start to worry about the trees and rebuilding all the custom trees everywhere, all of that good stuff. But all in all, I hope you guys like this. I'm really happy with how the terrain worked itself out right here. Obviously, you can still see some signs of it, like the coarse dirt up there I need to get rid of. And generally, the shape is kind of still there to a degree when you're looking at it from way up here. But again, when are you really going to be looking at it from up here, per se? I mostly was going for something that from the city itself, whether it be one of the houses or the roads, blended in very, very well with the rest of the mountain. And I think we have something really nice. I'm really, really happy with this. And now it's just a matter of applying that same concept to maybe a little bit on this hillside, a little bit over here, trying to work this corner down a little bit more gradual. And over here, this will be an interesting one because given the Terraforged terrain generation that we have, the custom terrain generation, we have an interesting kind of situation in that there's these small little increases or decreases in the elevation based on these mini cliff sides and kind of mini, I guess, plateaus throughout. Obviously, we can definitely work in a lot of farmland through here. We can, even cut down some of the things like that little hill right there, and anywhere else that might be around here, but this is generally a really nice area that we can work with. That being said, this right here is something that has to be figured out, and I'm almost wondering if the solution isn't, instead of building onto it, rather digging into it. Now, what I mean by that is with the other side of this city, I basically took the cliffside and I built over top and brought it all the way out. So the terrain, I added a lot more terrain, right? Over here, I might be subtracting a lot, especially because we have the wall on this side of the city, one of the walls. I might lower a lot of this region. Maybe not this right here. This kind of works out nicely. And how it kind of comes up to the wall right here, it's already kind of meant for that to kind of work together. I might trim a little bit of it. But over here with the stone, where I kind of had this, I guess, temporary solution for a while, we might dig in, and as a result, have a very gradual kind of slope that might bring us all the way out to like here or so, as it starts to slope down and get kind of towards the wall, which will cut into the plateau up here a little bit. But again, we'll still have a lot of room to work with, so I think that'll be totally fine. In my opinion. And this is the last like really big change that needs to be done terraforming wise. Obviously there's a little bit more around the rest of the outskirts, one of them being all the coarse dirt that I have to get rid of from trying to hand blend the biomes through a kind of weird technique back when I first implemented Goldcrest into the new terrain generation. That is something that I can fix pretty easily. It's just a little bit tedious, of course. but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. In terms of those weird scuffed cliff sides, this is the second and final one that we got to worry about over there. And then once the cliff sides are all taken care of and done away with, we'll be ready to shift our focus to the next stage of renovating the city of Goldcrest. I think I'm going to be saving the trees and all of the rebuilding the trees as custom trees. I'm going to save those a little bit longer. I'll probably do those last. I'll consider that kind of the last terraforming step of this project. And I think that'll be the best way for us to go. In the meantime, we've got a couple of things, which includes finishing the terraforming, which includes doing that cliffside and maybe a little bit over here, such as the coarse dirt, all of that good stuff, right? I've also got to build the occasional farmhouse out here and start working on some huge crop fields, of course, once the terraforming is done, because I can't really do it until then with all these weird hills and cliff sides and all of these weird bits that I don't want there. Obviously, I have the roadways dotted in sand from previously, so I'll probably be building a lot of the roadways that at least stretch through the fields and everything. I don't plan on building the roadway, you know, thousands and thousands of blocks that way off into the distance. That is not going to be something I do today. That is for the future when we build another city around here that we have to connect it to. And that is going to be one of the cool things as we build cities next to each other, of course, in the world. Connecting by road. You know, you might not use the road, but it's just cool to have it there. I do need to renovate the roadways. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, maybe not, but I do want to renovate the roadways here, update them, make them a little better. I don't really plan on touching much of, if any, of the buildings, at least for now, because I do want to keep some of the feel of the original build intact. I don't want to just redo everything and then not have anything left from the original kind of, you know, this is where the world started sort of a feel, right? And you kind of want to keep a little bit of that for the nostalgia, just to be able to look back on it even and just see how far I've come in as a builder, whatever it might be, right? There's a lot of reasons behind that, I think. But there is one thing that I have not mentioned yet in terms of things that we could do out here and probably should do. And that has to do a lot with the thing that we tore down earlier, right behind where my head's sitting and behind those lights back there around the terrain that we just added for the mountain. And that is another wall, but over here on this side of the city. I didn't have one built over here, and I think it would make a lot of sense to try and put one in here, if not a, you know, wall stretching the entirety of it, at least something to kind of help squeeze in the, or I guess maybe not squeeze in, but make the city feel a little bit more complete, in the sense that I have walls on 3 sides. And then of course I have the inner city here, which kind of has the wall, but it's not the same deal, I don't think. I need a proper feel such as the walls that we have around the other 3 sides. So before we're done today, there's one last thing for us to do, and I'm gonna get that wall built. All right, how about that for a 4th edition to the walls within the city of Goldcrest here? I tried to find the best spot to snake it through this little bit of a mess of terrain over here. It needs some work, not on this side, but on the other side with all the weird hills and everything. Most of this hill will probably end up gone now that I've been over here spending some more time and really kind of taking it in. It just doesn't make sense. It's just a very sudden hill that I think we could definitely do without. So I'll probably have some more terraforming work to do there. I've also got to smooth over quite a lot of this. And as you can see, where we built the wall, it is where one of the roads comes through, and this is going to be one of the main entrances into the city of Goldcrest. So I made a little temporary spot right there, or I guess not temporary, but it's ready for the road to be built upon it. I tried to stay true to how I built the walls originally, and you might have noticed, and you might be wondering why I didn't build a wall that looks a little bit better. And that is because I wanted to stick with what I had before. If you remember earlier, I talked about how I don't want to change too much of the city of Goldcrest here. I want to make sure that we're keeping it true to its original self, and that no matter what we change, whatever we update over here, it still retains the original feel, it still retains the original kind of architecture, and we can always come back and see while it might not be perfect, while it might be far from it, and it might not look the best objectively, you know, this is where it started, right? This is where it started, and I don't ever want to stray away from that feel that Goldcrest has always had, right? It's not perfect, it's not the best, but it was the humble beginnings of what became the immense project that it is now, that it is today, right? So the walls are one of those big things. It's a very iconic thing to the city of Goldcrest here, the style of walls, and I tried to stay true to that as much as I could. Given the the materials that I did have out here, I was a little thin on the stone brick supports, but I think it's fine at the end of the day, right? It still holds true to it. And so we've got that. We've got the gate right there. I need to trim out a little bit of this hill. We'll eventually build the road up and through there, start connecting everything out here, especially when we start to get the fields built and the farmhouses and whatnot. There's a little bit of filling in I need to do over here with that pond, trim down this hill a little bit, just smooth the terrain in general. I'm still considering if I do or do not want to redo the palace on the hill right here. I think we might end up keeping it, if not for anything else, simply because there's just not enough room to do much outside of this for the Crest Council of 8, which is of course the overseeing party for the city of Goldcrest. Is a whole bit of lore there that you can get into if you go check out the Books of Blutora series. And one of the episodes over there where I do believe I cover it just a little bit. But regardless, I'm pretty happy with that. Of course, none of the walls actually connect and fully enclose the city, as that's not the intention of it. It's mostly to keep a bulk of threats out, but at the same time, it's not a city that's had an extensive history of worrying about that kind of thing, so it's not like it's top-notch security or anything like that. And of course, over on the backside, we've got mostly the mountains blocking everything, so we could cut out a little bit earlier, as we did. So from there, with all of the walls now done, I think this video has been going on for long enough. However, do not fret, do not worry, my friends, because before you know it, I'm going to have another one of these drop in. Ouch, that kind of hurt. I'm going to have another one of these drop in for you guys to see what progress we get up to in the next episode here in the city of Goldcrest. I'm thinking, off the top of my head, the next place I'm going to start working is finishing up the rest of the terraforming. So we're going to get rid of that little cliffside behind my head. We're going to kind of gradually bring the terrain up here. I'm going to try to get rid of all the coarse dirt and work on just all of the terrain stuff, get that done, and hopefully start some of the roadway renovations in the next one, because we need to get the roadway done before I can properly work on the fields and the farmhouses and everything like that, because we're going to have some of the roads kind of winding through the various fields. It should create a very cool look, a very cool atmosphere to walk through especially. And I look forward to it. I'm really excited for it. Once we get all that done, of course, we've got the custom trees. Quite a few custom trees to build around here, as it's supposed to be a bit of a forest spreading from the center of the city outward and kind of thinning out from there. But either way, let me know what you guys think of the build. Let me know what you guys are thinking about what we got to do. And if you have any other suggestions, right? We want to stay true to the original build. We want to stay true to Goldcrest. But of course, I might not be thinking of anything, of everything, rather, right? My brain is can only go as far as it can go, and I'm always open to suggestions and what you guys think could make this place even better. Without going too overboard, I don't want to spend a ton of time out here. This is supposed to be a little renovation project, nothing too crazy or too wild or too time-consuming, of course, because my hope is that we can get this done. Hello, sheep. How's it going, sheep? We can get this done by the time I finish building the city of Lethio over on this live stream, and then we can start building the very next city, which I will talk about closer to when we get there, at about the same time as the stream. My goal is that we're building it both here and on stream at about the same time, and that way everything's nice and in one spot, and I don't have to feel too stretched out or anything like that. And with that, my friends, that will officially about do it for this episode. Now, before you go anywhere, I want to mention briefly that recently I decided to finally open up a Patreon for my content. And for all of you guys who are able and willing, if you want to go that extra mile and make sure that you can support the content, make sure that I can do the YouTube videos, the Twitch streams, and even work on things outside of the Minecraft world, like writing the books themselves, and have the amount of time that I do, I would greatly appreciate even just checking it out, even just going and taking a look at it. But of course, you guys being here, watching the videos, sharing it with friends, that is more than I could ever ask. But I did want to mention that for any of you guys who might be interested in some of the benefits that are there, like seeing this video a whole day early. But with that out of the way and being said and mentioned, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll be back soon, before you know it, to work more on the Gold Crest renovations. I'm super excited, and I hope to see you there.